we're entering the Battle of Lens here. Not a lot of pieces on the board. Why? Well, because I was mistaken when I first looked at it. The Cav skirmish is its own separate scenario. How important, interesting is it? I don't know. But since it's not included in the historical battle and any losses conducted in it will be recuperated and magically restored completely. I don't think we have any units that are reduced in size or anything due to the Cav skirmish. But anyhow, I thought it would be interesting to do a pure Cav scenario. Almost nothing's on the map to begin with. It's not just these 3 units. We've got a fistful of French here, some Spaniards, well, I don't know, mainly Larignians, and some Burgundians here. These are Croats. Anyway, what is special about the map to begin with? Le Arbre de Conde. This is a tree that Conde went to. Let's take a look. Once again, darker terrain is lower level. So this is a ridge in the high point. Well, actually, this is the high point, but this is kind of a ridge going up. It's all gentle slope, though, so it doesn't make a hell of a lot of difference. And Notre Dame de Lou over here is going to be considered a chateau. They say without garden. I don't know what that means. There may be an appearance that makes it look like... Oh, I see. There's a garden here. Yeah, the whole hex is just chateau. All right. But we got gardens here around the town. Probably not of any importance. Certainly not in this scenario. This scenario has special rules. The Altesse Royal and Croat units, that's these guys, are always in command, but considered part of the wing. Both sides are in charge at the beginning. For what that matters, doesn't have to be all that big a deal. Victory conditions. We don't actually have the historical here. At the end of the scenario, there's no Spanish units level 4 terrain. Up here, the French win. Otherwise, the Spanish win. This is probably going to be bloodier than it should be. It only lasts 4 turns. And then the main battle is supposed to start. It would actually make sense to not, given that we're talking 20 minutes difference, it would make sense to fight this battle out and then go to that. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Anyhow, one thing that I looked at, I was flipping through here. I wasn't interested in the Mergentime playthrough, but I noticed that they reproduced a lot of historical notes that I haven't read yet. But of more interest, game tactics notes, which go into something that I've been neglecting. I used them a little bit in one scenario. I don't know that using wing commanders in close combat. Yeah. Don't be afraid to lose them. Your army commander needs to be present. Extra rallies and reforms make all the difference. Yeah, no shit. They suggest, yeah. So one of the problems I've gotten in is losing commanders and that causing serious issues. I am afraid to lose them. Yes, they provide a modifier, but they can really leave you stranded with real problems. Just being knocked out for a turn. where that wing doesn't get to do shit, is very painful. So I'm actually not really agreeing with that. But thing that was mentioned is in the cav tactics, infantry reacting into hedgehog formation. It requires a morale check. It's problematic if they fail. But you know, when I'm smashing into the flank of an infantry unit, or the rear, it is really troublesome, and that's tended to wipe out infantry. And I've been neglecting that capability. You don't want to form into hedgehog as a formation change, usually, which I did in one scenario at various points. The last Spanish scenario, or was it Roquai? I don't remember. Well, maybe that's the same thing, honestly. Because I'm thinking back, I think Roquai was the last scenario with the Spaniards in it. When I'm looking at potential attacks from the cav, being able to form a square essentially is vital. And yeah, I have been just letting my infantry kind of take those hits that are not good, and in hedgehog are largely defended from. Yes, the cav doesn't have to hit me, but if we look over here, it should be in here. You know, I don't see it here. And this is what's making me forget it, is there's like a -2 penalty. First of all, you're not hitting somebody in the rear, but there should also be a -2 penalty on the close combat. And it should be even in these version 3 rules for hedgehog. Forgot about this as well. I'm actually not seeing it here in these either. Fuck. And you know, if it's not repeated and placed in the rules relatively often, suffers fire combat. They ignore formation hits from close combat, which is awesome. You know, these rules aren't agreeing with what I saw here. Maybe they are. Maybe they are. I'm not quite sure why. So we got the momentum on both cases. We got the attack from flank. That's just a 1. Pistol should be in both. Size should be the same. Here it says cavalry versus hedgehog. You know what? Here it is. Hedgehog has its own column on there. That's what the problem is. Because it the combination of it can't be done as a simple thing that cav versus hedgehog has a certain impact, because heavy infantry gets a bonus. Actually gets a penalty against hedgehog too. Yeah, but that big -2 that the cuirassiers, and -3 for arquebusiers, but But see, that's just an additional -1 in addition to whatever you're facing. So hedgehog is a particularly strong defensive position against anything. And if you're getting hit from a flank or whatever, it can, first of all, it gets rid of the flank penalty. That's 1 point. Maybe more than one, because the flank penalty is per unit that's hitting you. And then it gives you an additional defensive benefit. And yeah, the way that it's expressed here and not in here is part of what set it out of my mind, though. Anyway, of no importance here, because we got no infantry. We got some musketeers, but they can't form into it. So that's something that I got to keep in mind, and maybe we'll see the power of the hedgehog in the main battle. Anyhow, I don't think the hedgehogs matter too much in battles from this box, except for Recroix, where I use them. And the heavy terrain made it hard to slip behind. Now, last battle at the very end, I think it did have some impact, but it wouldn't have changed the overall outcome. Anyway, I guess we get started. These guys have terrain limitations in terms of where they come in and whatnot. All right. The commanders are equal. I wonder where my yellow die is. I had it over there before. There it is. And I can get rid of this one because we're not going to see any more Bavarian-French fights. Well, since we grabbed that die, odd Spaniards go first. Nope, the French get to go first. Victory conditions are odd here. They have nothing to do with casualties or anything like that. It's simply, are the Spanish up on this hill? If they aren't, the French win. If they are, the Spaniards win. That's kind of interesting. One continuation, I got myself into this position. I'll roll for another. I don't know if I want to reorganize and reposition at all. Wouldn't get it anyway. So let's see what the Spaniards do. One continuation, there's a lot of that level up here. I feel like I'm going to make it hard and make the French actually push me off. And that is the end of the first turn. Remember, it's only a 4-turn scenario. This unit is going to come in next. 4211, which is down here. He's going to have to try to make his way into command. I want it to come over in this direction, so I went as far as I was allowed to. By the way, this is where I started cutting this map, and I'm like, oops. I don't know. Not happy about it, but it's not. It looks like shit. Let's be honest. But you know, it's bound to happen whenever I'm facing these half maps. I want to cut them, and I'm like, yeah, but this is a full on the other side, which blows. Oh, with such a tiny scenario, it doesn't make sense for me to go down and read for 30 minutes or something. Let's get at least one more turn in here. I did run downstairs, log the play, and then I said, this is silly. I mean, I'm hardly playing. Bring the Spaniards up the hill where I want them. I get a continuation, and I can't get out of charge. I should have just sat on it, but I wanted to get this extra unit to have more chances to get up there. Maybe command the muskets and get them under my cuirassiers and whatnot. But now I gotta move forward X, which is okay. I'm still not in counter charge range. Not so cool, but I am hitting in the flank. I'm gonna go ahead. I again got stuck in charge. I'm gonna just go ahead and hit. See what happens. The French got one reaction, which killed a Spanish unit. But now, which will be back in, you know, within the hour, right? But now we were getting hit in a number of places. We weren't able to intercept with any of these other units. And the Spaniards have finished their turn and cleared away a number 3 of the French units. It's not exactly what I wanted to do. I'm not set up for the counterattack, but on the other hand, I've thinned the French out so much that I should be able to win the scenario. French counterattack. Now, if they get a good sequence here, they might be able to kind of even this up. We got a couple of kills, but kills are no better than running in pursuit. So the fact that we ran in pursuit with one of them means that we took a loss that we shouldn't have. That's going to put me, let's see if we get a continuation. And with the continuation, the question is, do we want to go recover this, or do we want to try for more hits? But we don't get the option either way. And that puts us over to turn 3. I am going to pause at this point. Yeah, I know it's a tiny scenario, but my pipe's almost out. And the French randomly got to go next. They're in charge. Again, I have to make this decision. You know, do I want to rally my forces, essentially, which is this unit, or do I want to see if I can take advantage of the charge that I'm sitting on right now? It's a hard call. It really is. Now, not only, so these are a little weakened. Not that one. This one's fired up pistol, and yeah, we got a couple of units we could pick on, and we could recover and, you know, maybe be ready to countercharge if we get lucky. Again, it's all the sequence. This is such a weird scenario. Oh, also, we have to get rid of those musketeers. Now, Cav is so fast, but they're relatively quick. I could run them back into areas like here and make it really hard for the French to take them out. Which again, this feels like one of those, you know, squad leader, I pick on it so much, but where, you know, you might do something really gamey and ridiculous to maintain someone up on that ridge. And it's meaningless. It's also weird because whatever happens in this scenario has absolutely no effect on the setup of the main scenario. I feel like the two should link together. You should get some kind of advantage if you grab the hill. But again, it kind of doesn't make sense because we got units that are gone. I mean, they're not gonna be available for the battle. So it absolutely feels like some kind of really abstracted version of what is actually going on here. I mean, it can't be this bloody a fight. End of this, killing some more Spaniard. We got a morale shaken and a morale, formation broken unit. I feel like the only way that I have a chance at winning this scenario, I'm going to throw away all other concepts because the scenario kind of doesn't make sense, right? So like those squad leader scenarios, I'm just seeking that binary win-loss condition. I think the only way I can get anything is by dropping into receive charge, because that gives me another chance to hit, maybe, kinda. Which puts me at a 0 to 3. Actually, I would be rolling on continuation, and I did not get the continuation. So this is how the French are. This is over. You know, the Spaniards are up next. I think what I do with them is I develop a defensive line such that the French have no chance of defeating it, basically. If I can get out of charge. Let's see. What am I? Oh, my leader got chased off the map. No, I'm not getting that. And I have a chance of coming back. Nope, he's eliminated. That means I will be getting a colonel for the last turn of the game. It ain't gonna matter. They're not actually called it. There we go, Strata. I'll put him here to try to rally that. But yeah, it's just not going to matter. There's no way the French are going to wipe out this many troops. But let's go into that next turn. Both sides are still in charge. The French get the initiative. I don't know how they want that. Again, I feel like I have to go to receive charge if I can, which is a 0 to 3. Oh, wait, no, I don't have an option. I go to rally. Scenario's over. Because the French aren't going to get a second activation, and unless the Spanish run off the hill, they win it. That was fun. It doesn't even really show the nature of the cav fight. This is a goofy scenario, you know? It really is. And I think it would be damn hard for the French to win it, no matter what. But maybe, I don't know, you know, the Spaniards got their charges and got the numerical advantage early enough that, like, but they start with more pieces. It's going to be really hard for the French to wear out the Spanish and destroy them all. Okay, that's the lens skirmish. And now we'll just go to the scenario because there's no rules for combining the two scenarios. There's no value to this, you know. It's not like it's some prequel, you know, like you could be playing, think about something like Gettysburg, and I got a bunch of Gettysburg games over there, where, you know, early part of the battle, you got the Confederates streaming in and the Cav trying to hold them off. And it could have an interesting individual set of conditions that you want to defend. You want to keep the rebels from getting beyond a certain point, stuff like that. But it links in with the battle perfectly fine, right? Here, I don't know what I'm supposed to be saying, because there's just no way, given that this started at 7 a.m. and ends at 7:40, in 20 minutes, there's a whole army on the board. Okay, we'll see what the setup is like. And these guys are going to be incorporated into it, right? Like in one turn, they're going to completely change where they are. It just feels goofy. We'll see what the setup is. If it's basically like, you know, something along these lines, I'll be like, that's cool. But yeah, whatever I'm doing in terms of gathering high ground or whatever, it should be reflected. There should be a full scenario that handles the Cav being out there early, and then decide what you want to do with it, whether you want to capture that extra high ground. And I don't see how the 20 minutes, how in that 20 minutes, I'm not saying the units teleport, I'm saying they're moving and getting on the board, but how anything in this Cav battle can affect where the rest of the army is going to be. Like, yeah. Nor does it seem to make much difference with this kind of terrain, because these are gentle slopes, and that's only really going to affect artillery. Maybe some line of sight in some places like here, you know. Oh well. All right, let's send it up. Very, very silly thing. Wish it hadn't even been included, because all it does is makes me gripe.